Welcome to EnigmaCast noobs, or I should say, welcome to the EnigmaCast morning show because my boy Josh got me up at the crack of dawn out here but he's on the West Coast up at 5 a.m. Josh, don't
Yes,
ever say
sir.
it. Don't ever let them tell us that we're not down for the cause, brother.
Yeah.
Everybody,
I do this every.
go ahead, buddy. Sorry.
Go ahead, go ahead. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, no. Go ahead.
Nothing. I said I do this all the time, bro. I wake up at 5 usually for my show, and it's a blessing, bro. It's a blessing to
Yeah,
wake up
for
early.
sure it is. For sure it is, man. Everybody, I have tracked this cat down, Josh Monday. I normally don't talk to people in California, Josh. I normally don't get down with you commies out there on the West Coast because I'm on the far East Coast over here. But I know you're a good one. That's why we're digging into it. So anybody, Josh, tell all of my Enigmites about you, where they can find you, what you're into. Your podcast is great. Your channel is great. You have some good points, man. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation. So please tell everybody where they can find you, buddy.
Okay, so Josh Monday Christian and Conspiracy Podcast on audio, and then Josh Monday Music and Podcast on YouTube. And just we take a conspiracy, show you how it relates to the Bible, and one that really relates really well is going to be biblical cosmology or flat Earth. It's probably one of the key ones that match up perfect. So I'll be going over that today. And, I have a lot of shows on that, on all different conspiracies. And also, obviously, I could go eat full Bible, or I could go take a conspiracy, show how it relates to the Bible, or we could go full conspiracy on my show. We usually have a guest every week, or maybe we put out 2 shows a week, depending. But it's just me and my co-host, my brother, Jason. And it's fun, man.
Yeah, I caught you. Yeah, it's a good show. I'm a Christian too, and I don't know about you, but I get heat about, like, I'm into aliens, UFOs. I've been there for like the long time, been into all that stuff, and my big thing is like, how can you be a Christian and be into those? Those are demons. I'm like, well, that book back there is the 54 Apocrypha, that books that were taken out of the Bible, and the Ethiopian Bible still has them in there. The Book of Enoch is probably, I don't know why we haven't made a movie about that, just in general, but like it's great. And I actually caught your bits and pieces. I'm still processing through it. Your last episode, I think you had a round table. I think it was 4 guys was on your last episode. Great episode, man. I'm still not all the way. Don't spoil it for me, Josh. No spoilers. or so anyways, thanks for coming on the show, brother. I'm really looking forward to it. I really wanna to. On purpose, I did not do any preparation for this. Normally, I do some studying, right? When we've been working for about a month, a little bit longer, trying to work out the details. On purpose, I did not go out and do any type of research or counter points or anything like that. I'm a blank slate, brother. I'm ready. I'm ready to get into it. So, before we get into that, though, real quick, couple questions to ask everybody. What got you into doing this type of podcast stuff and going down, like, you go down? I on my show we talk about flat earthers, man, and they're down for the cause, man. So like, that's a rough road to follow because you guys take some serious heat along the way, man. So what moved you into pulling not only the podcast side of it, but specifically this specialization that you took?
Okay, so the podcast wise, I was doing music. I went on deployment and I did a talent show, and I used to do secular rap ever since, from about 14 to about like 26, and all secular, I got saved. I joined the United States Army. I went on deployment, and this chaplain, which is like a pastor in our world. He said, I heard you could rap. I was like, yeah. So he's like, hey, well, I'm going to fly you over to Camp Beering, which is another camp that we have. I was in Camp Arif, John, and we have a talent show, and I want you to come do a talent show for us. So I wrote the song. It was called Always Got a Gun on Me. And it was just, basically my hook is like, I'm in the Army. I always got a gun on me. And everybody was kind of going crazy. But anyways, I ended up winning the talent contest. I came back and I started recording Christian music, Christian rap, and one of the songs I made during the 2019. I don't know if you're on YouTube, but the 2019 thing that rolled in was called "Signs of Things to Come," and it was kind of talking about everything we were going through with COVID and all that stuff. Right. So it kind of caught the ear of some of the podcasts, like Dangerous World Podcast, Legit Bat Podcast, and Mark Steves from My Family Thinks I'm Crazy. So they had me on their show. Right. Yeah, I don't know if you know Mark. He's really cool. Yeah. What's up? You know these guys?
No, but like that name fits, man. You know what I'm saying? Like my family thinks I'm crazy. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
We could probably get some t-shirts made, bro.
He's actually the booker for Tinfoil Hat Podcast for Sam Tripoli. But,
okay.
they had me on their show, and Legit Bat Podcast told me, hey, man, the show that you did, it was a show on Sandy Hook, and he said, the show that you did is getting a lot of people. You should start your own podcast. So kind of told me what to get, what equipment to get. And, I was like, I know I listen to a lot of podcasts like Tinfoil Hat, and I feel a little convicted listening to some shows because they don't have the Christian side. All they have is they have the rabbit hole for you to chase, but they don't have the answer for the conspiracy.
Right.
For me, I think the answer is going to be, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. It's going to be God. He's at the end of each conspiracy. That's what I feel. God is not the one that did the conspiracy, but as you dig and dig and dig, you find out that it's a spiritual battle that you're really dealing with. Yeah. Between God and the devil. And what I was thinking was like, hey man, let me just try to take conspiracies and show you how it relates to the Bible. And I think a lot of them do, not all of them, I can't obviously relate some things to the Bible, but I can always relate it to a spiritual battle that's happening. Maybe a secret society out there where Lucifer is running,
bro,
or maybe the black nobility, or maybe the Committee of 300, or maybe whatever. We could find out what. So I just kind of wanted to dig into everything and kind of make a platform that Christians can go to, not feel convicted, because I'm gonna always be telling them Bible verses. Mm-hmm. But in my awakening to all this conspiracies, I got into flat Earth. I had Dave Weiss on. And I was like, I want to find out if this relates to the Bible. So what I did is I kind of did what you did. I had a clean slate. I let Dave Weiss come on and kind of show me the scientific side. And I was like, let me see what the Bible says. So I dug into it. And after reading the Bible and listening to Bob Skiba and a couple of people, on YouTube, I was like, all right, let me just do my own deep dive. So that's what I did. I came here, man. I've been sharing it ever since, man.
Oh, man, that's awesome. That's awesome, bro. Me and you were gonna get along great, man, because I've been kicking the crap out of Satan for like the last 4 weeks. I've been on a really hard, New World Order. So in the Bible, it has a verse that God will take what the enemy meant for your evil and turn it for your good. That is literally the conspiracy theory pushback on everything. Everything that they try to tell you that is not happening, it is happening, right? And so. Yeah, man, I'm pumped up, man. So yeah, and you were hitting all the. My wife the other day, she kind of we were in the car, right, and she was something happened, something came through. I forget what it was, and I was like, look, Satan on display. She's like, can you stop saying everything is Satan? I'm like, everything. You can't see this. What's going on? Everything right now is they are paying homage to a demon, and I'm just thinking to myself like. Before we get into it, man, one of the things that I came to Christianity to about 5 years ago. I was raised Christian, baptized, drifted away. I was in the Navy for a while, long time.
Thank you for your service, brother.
Yeah, thank you for your service, brother. Right. So come back on that, and then came back and found my faith. And then I told my wife, I was like, we go to church and we come out. And she's like, why are you mad? I'm like, why are they not telling the hard stuff in there? Why is it always they preach the resurrection? When are we going to get to, hey man, you better come? When are you going to get to the meat at the back, right? Or
there you go.
Or this stuff, right? Yeah. She's like, I don't know. They just trying to. So she was like, why are you always mad? I'm like, man, Christians sometimes, man, they get on my nerves, bro, because everybody thinks that Jesus is coming back like holding a dove, No, you already got that Jesus. I told her my pronouns are table flipping Jesus and rebuking demons. That's my pronouns is what I tell her, right? And so I was like, why aren't you? I say this is not. We're not getting. They're not getting like they're not getting the spiritual warfare aspect of it, right? You just and what you were just talking about. The Olympics. This was disgusting, right? And then I didn't watch the ceremony. I saw the clips of it. I'm sure you have. I haven't watched one thing
Yeah,
about it.
just clips down.
And then
Yeah, just clips.
yeah, it was disgusting. And the I tried. I posted this thing out on X, man. I forget what it was about. God will not be mocked. The man will reap what he sows. Right? Have fun with that, France. So, and if you don't know, I mean, like I don't know if you knew a couple years ago, Brazil during their carnival they mocked the crucifixion, and
Yeah.
2 days later, like a crazy storm, literally almost instantly flew in.
Yeah, yeah, I saw that.
What are you people doing? What are you doing? Anyway, so yeah, Josh, you fired me up, man. I'm fired up.
Hey, I love it. Hey, we got to understand that there's an enemy at play.
Yeah.
And there's also now, if you notice, a lot of these events that happen that are, I believe a lot of them were staged, give you a story for the conspiracy theorist, and then they give you a story for the Democrat, and now you got a story for the Republican, basically.
Yeah.
So they're already pre-written, ready to go for you to chase all these rabbit holes and all this stuff, and they're the ones that actually created it.
Yeah.
So it's really crazy, man. So I see a lot of distractions happening, and just so everybody knows, before I start, things are going to get worse, and the end times, the birth pains as they get bigger, they're going to get closer together, and it's going to get worse. So it's not going to, we're going to see stuff that's going to be very uncomfortable for us as Christians. Yeah. And like you said, we better start finding out the meat of the Bible, because Paul was talking about, you get fed milk for just so long, need the meat. So I really agree with what you said. So
yeah, for sure.
All right, we'll start out with some Bible verses before we go, just so you have something to reference to as I go through this. First one would be Romans 10:17. So then faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. So what kind of faith is being produced if you hear the word of God yet do not believe it? Hebrews 11:6 says, but it is without faith it is impossible to please him, to please God, right? Impossible, right? So what Satan's going to do, if he knows it's impossible to please God without faith, then Satan's going to attack your faith. We're saved by grace through faith. So he's going to attack the faith portion. So with faith cometh by hearing the word of God, then Satan knows what to attack. He's going to attack the word of God, right? So as I go through the book of Genesis, all these different books, you're going to find out that Satan has infiltrated our school systems, and infiltrated our minds to believe a certain way, so that by the time you pick up the Bible, there's block walls put between you and the book of Genesis and the Bible. And so when you do pick up the Bible, you're going to be reading, and what's going to happen? You're going to not believe it, because it's different than what you've been taught through school, educational system, the Rockefeller educational system. And it's meant to do that on purpose, especially by the time you get to college. Mm-hmm. That's a big block wall put. Now you got all these things you're going to fight through, all these liberal studies, liberal arts, science, all these different things, philosophy, and all these things are put there. And then by the time you pick up the Bible, when you're like 25, 26, maybe 30, depending on where you're at, you're like, oh, this can't be true. It doesn't match up with science. So I just want to let you guys know a few other things. Numbers 23:19 says, God is not man that he should lie. Titus 1:2 says that God cannot lie. Hebrews 6:18 says it is impossible for God to lie. So as I go through some of these verses, understand that some of it is a firsthand account from the Most High. It says in the book of Timothy, Paul says, all scripture is given by inspiration of God, profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness, that the man of God may be complete, thoroughly equipped for every good work. So if all scripture is inspired by God, he's talking about the Old Testament at this time, but I think the New Testament is as well. He's talking about the Old Testament. So a lot of these scriptures that I'm going to be going through, understand that God cannot lie. It's impossible for God to lie. And also that it's inspired by God, right? So we got to understand that. Last one I want to go through is going to be 12 verses 4 through 8. And during this verse, I'm just gonna like paraphrase. God is speaking to Moses, Aaron, and Miriam. And what he says in these verses is that I come to prophets in visions and in dreams. To Moses, I come to him face to face. And in the King James, it says mouth to mouth. And the New King James, it says face to face. So when he spoke to Moses, he said he spoke to him mouth to mouth or face to face. So if you could find me one scientist in the United States or during any time in our existence that we're following currently that could tell you that he spoke to God face to face, and then I would give them credence. But no, that legitimizes the book of Genesis for me and the whole Torah, and then all the verses I'm going to go through for the visions and the dreams. Who is sending the vision and dreams? It's going to be God. He says he comes to prophets in visions and in dreams. So when I talk about the book of Ezekiel, Isaiah, Amos, any of these prophets, God is the one that came to them. And now, so you know that it's coming from God, right? So that's what any questions on any of the verses I went over so far?
Oh, I'm dialed in, bro. I know them. Matter of fact, I'll even add to it. People sleep on how satanic the Rockefellers are, man. I think they were the family that bought that plot of land on Jekyll Island down in Georgia. And you can't walk, if you walk around every major, even major universities, if you walk around, you will find a dedication plaque to the Rockefellers somewhere on almost every college in the United States of America, right? So anyways, if for you people that are interested in conspiracy theories, it's not even a conspiracy theory. It's flat on fact. Look up the Rockefellers and what they were doing on Jekyll Island, and you will see how the rumor has it them and several, probably the other satanic families, that's where they thought up the Federal Reserve. And I try to tell people all the time, the Federal Reserve is not a government bank, right? It's a personal bank. And when they say that we're $35 trillion in debt, how can we owe ourselves $35 trillion, right? How is that even possible, right? It's a scam. It's a control mechanism. Anyways, I'm in. You got me, brother. Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah, everything you said is definitely correct, and I think people are definitely confused about that. So As a Christian, what I think we should do, since all those verses are correct, is I think we should filter science through the Bible, not filter the Bible through science. So filter science through the Bible. So if it doesn't line up with the Bible, I'm not saying that if it's talking about DNA or making a computer or making a refrigerator that it's not true. If it's not telling you exactly how to put together a refrigerator, what I'm telling you is if it is in the Bible, like cosmology, biology, all these different sciences that are there, then I think we should go with the Bible's version as a Christian. If you're an atheist, I'm not speaking to you. You could go with whatever you want to go with, and I'm not judging you either because you do what you do.
I judge them. Even.
Yeah. I'm not saying that. Okay. Yeah. I'm not saying that what you're going with is not wrong, and what you're believing is wrong, but I'm not the one to judge. Yeah. All I'm going to do is plant the seeds to you if you are an atheist or if you're a non-believer, and it's up to God to make it grow. That's all I mean. But I know what you mean, though.
even people who pray to Satan think atheists are stupid, man. And Freemasons, you can't be an atheist and join the Freemason, which is basically we'll get into that as well. But yeah, no. If you're an atheist, you've never been to war. I'll promise you that. So, well, matter of fact, if you're an atheist, join the army and walk in the very front. All right, you're good. Put them at the front of the stack there. But all right, go ahead. Let's go.
All right. So what I'm going to do first, okay, I'm going to go over what science says first, okay, and especially about the Earth, the orbit, all this stuff that's going on. So. Scientist says that the Earth is at a 23.4 degree axis, and it's spinning at 1,014 miles an hour or 1,034 miles an hour at the equator. So it's spinning. It's also orbiting the sun at 66,600 miles an hour, which is 18.5 miles per second. And it's. I just want to let you guys know something. The fastest bullet travels at 1,800 miles per hour. So we're going 30 times faster than a bullet orbiting the sun. As the sun is traveling 550,000 miles an hour. It's moving like this, and we're chasing it at 66,600 miles an hour as we're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. All that is going on, and nobody seems to have any type of issue with that. They're like, no biggie. So I just think it's crazy. But one thing that definitely doesn't do, it definitely doesn't line up with what the Bible says. Okay, it definitely doesn't. So that's the first thing I'd like to go over with you. The next thing I want to go over with you is the moon. The moon is orbiting at 2,288 miles per hour. So as we're spinning 1,034 miles an hour, as we're chasing the sun at 550,000 miles an hour and orbiting at 66,600 miles an hour, the moon is also orbiting us at 2,288 miles an hour. That's happening. So that takes the moon landing and puts it in question, because if you are, Neil Armstrong or any of these guys, Freemasons that ended up saying they went to the moon, and you know these numbers to be correct, are you literally gonna go on a little rocket ship and fly to the moon and try to land on it one time as it's going? All these motions are happening. I mean, bro, we were in the military, and I think it's crazy to be in the Army, but can you imagine being that person doing that? I mean, knowing all those speeds.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, there's supposed to be, isn't there like all these different meteors out there and all the comets?
Radiation belts. They'll try to tell you that there's nails or little bolts that are flying 10 times faster than the speed of sound. But also, too, like to add on to your thing, I do agree with you about I'm trying to use a word that's not too about fiduciary is a word I created on this channel, man. You can figure out for yourself what that means, man. The fiduciary involved with these numbers, and the reason why they try to push this on you. And I'm a firm believer in Tesla's electric universe theory and not the Earth space is a void theory. Tesla's electric universe theory explains the Earth's not gravity, but the attraction of the Earth. They are so hooked on gravity, right? Like gravity, that they had to come up with these, in my opinion, they came up with these astronomical speeds and numbers to say, yeah, that's called gravity. The Earth is pulling us towards it when it's not. And people, I get into this conversation with people, especially Jay on my channel a lot. About 80% of the electronic stuff or the daily stuff that you use in your life was created by one man, Nikola Tesla. All these other theoretical physicists that you hear about that were doing these things, they've created nothing. Only 3% of theoretical physics has ever been proved. That means you got all these guys telling you how smart they are, and 97% of the stuff they talk about cannot be proven. Can't. And their excuse is, oh, well, give it 100 years when technology catches up. Man, come on, man. That's a grift. That's a grift in my mind. If you want me to sit around and make up like Marshmallow Land and talk about how, all this stuff is impossible and then throw some numbers on the board and tell you, wait 100 years when supercomputers get big and this will be proven. Nah, it's not even true. But anyway, so yeah.
It's like what you said. With the cosmology currently, if it was what it was, we're off 1 to the 26th power, which is 1 with 26 zeros after it. That's how far off they are. Okay, so It's the same thing, if the current cosmology was correct. Same exact thing that you're saying. I mean, it's it's crazy. We also have the sun that we're supposedly chasing is supposedly 93 million miles away. The closest star, check this out. It says that it's 4.4 light years away. What is a light year? Well, they tell you in light years because if you knew the exact number, you'd be tripping. 1 light year is 6 trillion miles away. So the closest star is supposedly 24 trillion miles away. Now, biblically, the Bible says that God made the moon, sun, and the stars to light up the earth. So if you are trying to tell me that God made these things 24 trillion miles away to light up the earth, that'd be like me saying, oh, I want to make lights in my kitchen, but I'm going to put it 5 million miles in the sky. You know what I mean? So I think it doesn't make sense biblically, just letting you guys know. The closest galaxy is supposedly 2.5 million light years away. That would be 2.5 million times 6 trillion miles. Crazy. He talked a little bit about gravity. Gravity is like their God, basically. Yeah. It's what naturally would bring everything together, no need for God. They're trying to give you cosmology absent from God. And the fruit of this cosmology is things like I'm about to go over right now. The scientific trinity. You have George Lemaitre, Jesuit-trained priest, the father of the Big Bang Theory. He said basically 13.8 billion years ago, an explosion happened. 13.6 billion ago, the stars were formed. 4.6 billion years ago, the sun was formed. And then 4.5 billion years ago, the earth was formed. So the order that they say is the stars came first, so you have the backdrop. Next, you have the sun, so you have something for the earth to orbit. And the earth was formed. That's what their story is in the Big Bang Theory. The Bible talks about the earth coming first, right? The firmament, then the earth, then the moon, sun, and the stars are placed in the firmament. So it's totally inverted. Now, the next one that they have in the scientific trinity is evolution. Charles Darwin, obviously he came out with that. His great-grandfather is a 33-degree Mason. Okay, he's the one that actually came up with evolution, right? So he came up with that theory of evolution, gave it to his grandson. His grandson served it to us with a bow, and people ate it up. And what you need with both of these is you need time. You need the 13.8 billion years. You need the millions upon millions of years for evolution to be true. And also the next one in the scientific trinity, I just want to point out one thing. A 33-degree Freemason came out with the evolution. A Jesuit-trained priest came out with the Big Bang. So now you have a Jesuit and a Freemason, all right? High-level Freemason. So as a conspiracy theorist, you should have a red flag. And if you're a conspiracy theorist and a Christian, definitely a red flag, okay? Make sure you guys understand that.
I used to be a Freemason, and I got out of it because it got weird. And I was actually talking about Drew. I was talking with Drew about that on his podcast over there. That is not the club you think it is.
Shout out to them.
Yeah, that's not the Freemasons. You never see a Freemason toy drive or a Freemason 5K, but you can find a lodge in every city, and also 90% of the people that are in that organization, they have no idea what they're actually doing. And so, but anyways, that's, like I said, that's another podcast episode right there.
Yeah. All right. And just so you guys know, like there's Copernicus, CHP 246. Isaac Newton has a lodge named after him. Also Kepler. You're gonna find all these different guys that are supposedly famous in time. They made lodges after them. So you always see them with the what is that thing? The compass and all their pictures. I'm just saying, man, check that out. But anyways, so the next thing we have, the next thing we have is Copernicus. Okay, so he came out with the heliocentric model in 1542. He was a Jesuit trained priest too. So what we have is another one. So we have Copernicus. Jesuits are actually formed in 1540. There's, can I confirm 100% he was a Jesuit? Well, there's some things out there that I've read where it says, it could have been a Jesuit priest. So understand, 1540 were formed. 1542, the heliocentric model came out. So understand that, all right? And so that's a model where the sun is in the center, enthroned. And here's the way that Copernicus writes. Let me know as a Christian if you're okay with this type of thing for you to be worshiping. It says, in the middle of all sits the sun enthroned. In the most beautiful temple could we place this luminary in any better position from which he can illuminate the whole at once. He is rightly called the lamp, the mind, the ruler of the universe. Hermes names him the visible God. Okay, so the sun sits upon a royal throne ruling his children, the planets which circle around him. The earth has the moon at her service. Aristotle says in his Animals, the moon has a closet relationship with the earth. All right, so first thing we gotta understand, who is called the lamp in the book of Revelation? Who lights up the earth in Revelation when there's a new heaven and a new earth? The lamp is Jesus Christ. There's no need for a sun anymore in the book of Revelation if you read Revelation 22, because Jesus lights up the earth, the lamp. So this guy is telling you that the sun currently is the lamp. And he's saying to you that the sun is enthroned in the center and everything is revolving around it, and it's controlling the planets, okay? As if it is what? A god. Now, ever since Babylon, all these different people. They all worship the sun. You got Nimrod, you got Apollo, you have the Romans, you have Native Americans, Sol, you have Greek. It would be Helios. And what do we call this thing? A heliocentric.
Yeah, and
which is a sun god centered universe. But go ahead.
And isn't it Osiris?
Our solar system
Is Osiris.
Yeah.
And so
Osiris and the Egyptians and yeah.
So I try to tell people too, just to add this to the thing, is that the current when God had enough of the Israel's sacrificing their children and all this other stuff, he sent down Nebuchadnezzar from Babylon, which is modern day Baghdad, and he smoked the entire region, all of it, right? And as reward for that, it's in I think it's in the Book of Kings. God sent him down and he destroyed all of Egypt, and he took all the people out of Egypt that was there. And then Egypt was empty, and the modern day Egyptian are actually Kemits that migrated north, and they found all of those temples down there. I actually have my own theory that when Satan fell from the sky, or the Nephilim or whatever, we can really go down a lot of holes, that Egypt was his first baseline, society that he took over. That's why he was the sun god that they prayed to. So I think Osiris, that's why when they give that thing over their eye right there, they're paying homage to Satan in just a different name. But anyway, so people watching this, your modern day Egyptians, they ain't around anymore. They're long gone, right? So, but anyways.
Yeah, exactly. All that, man. It's all about Isaiah 14, 11 through 14 or 15, where he's talking about Satan wanted, the 5 I wills. Satan wants to be like the Most High, and I think that was definitely part of the temptation for these fallen angels that came down, was to be worshipped. So that's what I believe is happening with all these gods, the Baal worship, the Osiris, all these different gods, Saturn and all these things. Those are all fallen angels that want to be worshipped. They take the place of the Most High. And God sees that. That's why the Tower of Babel, he sent out divided the 70 nations. And what came with them? Demons, fallen angels, and Satan. Those are the gods that they're worshiping. So it gets really interesting. So we have that. And now let's go to what the Bible teaches. I kind of told you guys what science teaches. The fruit of that is atheism and naturalism. That's the fruit of that cosmology. It separates you from the Bible completely. I'm going to show you why. Any questions on any of the stuff I went over so far, bro?
No, you're nailing it, man. Like I said, and people, this to give you a couple ancient Enigma files, how to not lose your soul is don't pray to demons ever. It's Satan's number one trick is to reverse order everything that God says. So it makes sense when you were saying that they take what it said and then they just start walking it. He'll just walk it backwards to do it. No, I'm tracking, bro. I'm tracking.
Yeah, so take the book of Genesis and put it in a blender, serve it to the public, and that's what we get. So, all right, so let's go to the Bible, man. Let's find out what the Bible says. First off, I want to let you know that Moses was with God for 40 days and 40 nights on Mount Sinai. God says he spoke to him face to face and mouth to mouth. He gave him the laws, the 10 commandments, and he showed him how he created the heavens and the earth. All right, so in the book of Genesis, it starts out saying, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, or the heaven and the earth in the King James. That's in the beginning, Elohim created the Shamayim and the Eret. It says the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the abuso, which is the deep. Is there a way I could share screen on here?
Probably,
share your screen.
Probably, but I don't know how.
That's okay. It says share screen. As I go through the days, I'll have this on there. You can see it, right? The ancient Hebrew cosmology. Okay, right. Perfect. So in the beginning, I said God created the heavens. It talks about in Isaiah 40:22 that God laid the foundations of the earth. The fountains of the great deep is going to be like down here. It's water, right? So none of this stuff is formed yet on day one, okay? This is all not here. Day two, what does God create? It says, on day one, it says God created the light and the darkness, right? So that's there. Day two, it says God created the firmament. Now that word firmament in the Hebrew, it's actually rakia. The definition for this word is extended surface, and in parentheses it says solid, expanse, firmament. And as you go down through the definitions, expanse says flat as base support, supporting what? It's supporting the waters above. Firmament, a vault of heaven supporting waters above, considered by Hebrews as solid supporting waters above. So considered by the Hebrews being, Moses, Elijah, Enoch, Noah, different Hebrews, they believe that the firmament was supporting waters above. And let me read through the CJB, which is the complete Jewish Bible, the way they use the word firmament, they use the word dome. And let's read it. It says, God said, let there be a dome in the middle of the water. Let it divide the water from the water. God made the dome and divided the water under the dome from the water above the dome. And this is how it was. And God called the dome sky. In the King James, it says God called the firmament heaven. So it's separating, if you can see my mouse, this is the firmament separating the water above from the water below. Now this is day 2, okay? So we have that. Now day 3, God created the oceans, right? The dry land, which is the continents, vegetation. So we have that. So even before the sun, the vegetation was already formed. Now day 4, God created the moon, sun, and the stars also. What it says is he placed them in the firmament. All right, so it says he placed them in the firmament of heaven. Let me kind of go through that real quick. It's Genesis 1, verses 14 through 19. And it says, and God said, let there be lights in the firmament of heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, for seasons, for days and years, and let them be for lights in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And God made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day, the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. So first of all, he created the stars, the moon, sun, and the stars to light up the earth. He made 2 great lights. The first light is going to be the sun to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night, which is the moon. So now he's talking about having 2 lights, as opposed to our normal theory right now, which says that the sun basically shines off the moon, and that's what we're seeing. But here in the Bible, it says that the moon is a light and the sun is a light. All right, and it says, and God set them in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good, and the evening and the morning were the 4th day. So, what was the earth rotating around on day 3? Okay, if the heliocentric model was correct, it's totally opposite from what the Big Bang Theory and our normal cosmology says. Because in the Bible, like I said earlier, God made the earth first, and then he created the moon, sun, and the stars, and he placed them in the firmament of heaven. So very interesting, man.
Very interesting. I never connected that before. Okay, very interesting.
Yeah. So the firmament is going to be like this. There's going to be water above, and then above that going to be God's throne, which I'll go over a lot of verses for that. But first off, let me go over, let me unshare the screen. I don't know how to do that. I stopped sharing. There we go. It said, how'd the stream go? I'm not done yet. Hopefully, all right. Hopefully they don't end my stream.
No,
all right.
You're good.
Now, all right. So the days, so you have day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. Day 5 is, when they created the animals and everything, but day 6 is man. So here we have some verses that show you that the earth is fixed and immovable. Okay, so not moving, not orbiting, not rotating, but fixed and immovable. We have Zechariah 1:11, and it says, and they answered the angel of the Lord and stood among the myrtle trees and said, we have walked to and fro through the earth, and behold, all the earth sitteth still and is at rest. First Chronicles 16:30 says, tremble before him, all the earth. The world is firmly established. It shall not be moved. Psalm 93:1, the Lord reigns. He is clothed with majesty. The Lord is clothed. He has girded himself with strength. Surely the world is established so that it cannot be moved. Psalms 96:10, Say among the nations, the Lord reigns. The world also is firmly established. It shall not be moved. He shall judge the peoples righteously. Psalms 104:5 says, you who laid the foundations of the earth so that it should not be moved forever. Okay, so we got to understand that. Now, if it says that the earth cannot be moved, it's not going to be moved forever. There's parts of the earth that do move, and that would be like an earthquake, which God talks about in the Bible. He talks about the earth trembling. But if there's a fixed and immovable earth and there's an earthquake, then the earth can move in certain areas, which the Bible does talk about. The earth trembles and the heaven trembles. But if it's fixed and immovable, then it's not going to be moving, orbiting, and spinning. Also, even by the order that God created, you could tell that God made the foundation of the earth and the earth. Then there's a firmament, and then in the firmament are the moon, sun, and the stars. And as I'm going to show you right now, the moon is moving and the sun is moving, and the earth, it sits still and is at rest. Okay, I'm going to go over those verses. Any questions on the fixed and immovable verses before we move on?
Not from me. I'm tracking.
Okay, so the moon and sun are moving, and I love you say tracking because I know that that's a military term. I love that. All right, here we go. So I say that too. Joshua 10:12-13. It says, then spoke Joshua to the Lord in the day when the Lord delivered up the Amorites before the children of Israel. And he said in the sight of Israel, sun, stand still, thou still upon Gibeon, and thou moon in the valley of Ajan. And the sun stood still, and the moon stayed, until the people have avenged themselves upon their enemies. Is it not written in the so the sun stood still in the midst of heaven and has not go down about a whole day? If you continue reading, it says God never did that before and will never do that again. So I'm just letting you guys know that. So he stopped the sun and the moon in 2 geographical locations from moving until Joshua avenged his enemies. And it says it was about a whole day that the sun and the moon stopped moving. Now, in our current model, think about this, okay? So if the sun and the moon stop, the sun is going to have to stop moving 550,000 miles an hour. The earth would have to stop spinning 1,000 miles an hour and moving 66,000 miles an hour. And then the moon would have to stop moving 2,200 miles an hour. All that stuff would have to happen for this verse to be true. But when it comes to the biblical model, the earth is fixed and immovable, and the sun and moon are moving in the firmament, and it's no problem. The sun and moon stop in 2 geographical locations, just like we perceive in our normal reality. We see the sun moving over our head, and we see the moon moving over our head. We don't see the earth moving, feel the earth moving. So biblically and in reality, both of these, this verse makes sense.
Yeah.
In their reality, this verse doesn't make sense. Just letting you guys know. And there's another verse. You need 2 witnesses in the Bible, right? There's another verse that backs this verse up. It says, the sun and moon stood still in their habitation. At the light of thine arrows they went, at the shining of thy glittering spear. So this is Habakkuk 3:11. It's speaking about the book. It's talking about the Joshua verse right there. 2 witnesses. The reason why I know it's talking about the Joshua verse is because the sun and moon never stopped again. God says that in the book of Joshua. So Habakkuk is speaking about that. And he's talking about the light of thy arrows. They went in the shining of thy glittering spear. It's speaking of that battle. And it's saying, so it's talking about that battle that happened, right? We also have another verse said the sun went backward 10 degrees. It's Isaiah 38:7-8. It says, and this is the sign to you from the Lord, that the Lord will do this thing which he has spoken. Behold, I will bring the shadow of the sundial, which has gone down with the sun on the sundial of Ahaz, 10 degrees backward. When you see the word gone down, risen, goeth up. Okay, so if you click on the word, it's going to be zaraka when it's talked about rising or coming up. And that word can mean to come forth, or to go is the other one. So when it's rising, it's coming forth. When it's going down, it's actually going away from you. It's to go. Okay, so to come and to go. So in the flat Earth model, the sun moves away from you. The moon moves away from you. It doesn't go down. In the Bible, that word for when you see arises, like if you go to Ecclesiastes 1:5, it says the sun arises, the sun goes down. So when you click on that, that's in the King James. That's when the heliocentric model was already out. It came out in 1542. So they're compromising for science, saying that the sun goes down when they translate the Bible right there. So if you click on it, though, and find out what the Hebrew means, it means the sun goes, and it says the sun comes. It doesn't say it goes down. So whenever you see the word go down or in the Bible or rises, then you need to understand it means the sun goes or the sun comes. It doesn't mean the sun goes down. All right, so very interesting. So we have that, and then another verse that we have is actually Psalms 19:1. Okay, so let me just go to that because I have it in my notes. But Psalms 19:1 is very interesting because it kind of shows you the glory of God, and there's also a few things in here that it gets really interesting because the way that the verse is laid out. So it says, "The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork." If you click on that word handiwork on the Strong's Concordance, it means like God's achievement, God's work. You know what I mean? The firmament. It was day 2. He created it. That was like the word firmament means to spread out or to beat out, like he made the firmament. And that word is solid, right? But we have that. And also the heavens, which is like the first heaven is where the moon, sun, and the stars are located. The second heaven is the firmament. The third heaven is where God's throne is located. So the heavens declare the glory of God. It says, "Day unto day utter speech, and the night unto night showeth knowledge. There is no speech nor language where the voice is not heard. Their line is gone out through the earth, and their words to the end of the world. And them hath he set a tabernacle for the sun, which is like a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, and rejoices a strong man to run a race. His going forth is from the end of heaven, and his circuit unto the ends of it, and there is nothing hid from the heat thereof." So it's talking about like when you do a race, you start at one point and then you end at the same point. It's talking about the sun going forth, not going down, but going forth and doing a circuit in heaven. So when I showed you that model, the ancient Hebrew cosmology, the heaven is the firmament, right? It says it in Genesis 1:8. So the sun is going to the ends of heaven, and it's also it's like a strong man running a race. That's one thing. Also, it says, "In them he hath set a tabernacle for the sun." Click on the word tabernacle. It means tent. Not only does it mean tent, but it means God's tent or Jehovah's tent. That's what the tabernacle is. And if you look at what the tabernacle looked like, there's a engineer. His name is Andrew Hoy, and he took all the parts from the Bible of making the tabernacle, not minusing or plussing anything. Because if you try to make a regular tent, and you have to take some of the parts out. But if you use all the parts, this engineer said that the tabernacle was actually shaped like a dome. So the tabernacle here, I believe he's speaking about the sun having a tent or God's tent, and I believe it's going to be dome shaped. And it's talking about the firmament here. God sent a tabernacle for the sun. Now, when you read these kind of verses as just a brand new Christian, or maybe someone that's 5 or 6 years in, you probably just read through these and you're not understanding unless you click on the words in the Strong Concordance to understand these terms. And since I've been studying this, that's what I'm trying to do, because I don't want to just be teaching something that's false. So I click on the word. Oh, okay, wow, that means a God's tent or tent of Jehovah. That's the way you could use it. So it's really interesting. So if the firmament showeth his handiwork, David is also saying here is that that he set a tabernacle or a tent or a firmament for the sun, and it doesn't go down; it's going forth through the ends of heaven, and nothing can escape the heat thereof. That means that the sun that we currently have is in the firmament, and the stars we currently have are in the firmament, and the moon, and nothing is escaping the heat. So if that sun is the only sun that we have that has heat, which the Bible's saying here, there's not 200 billion other suns out there like your current model says, and there's not 20 billion other Earths out there like our current cosmology tries to claim. There's one, and we are special, and God made it for us, and he created the moon, sun, and the stars for us. So it's really special and amazing when you go through this,
Yeah.
Any questions on any of that, bro?
No, man, no, I'm just absorbing it all in, man. Taking some notes that we can double back, man, and we can hit up as we go along. No, no, it's that's pretty. I got a theory on that firmament as well, so we'll come back to that
Yeah,
one. Yeah,
no worries, no worries. All right, so the moon and the sun is a light, as I told you in the book of Genesis. And there's a few verses, just I want to tell you real quick, like Ezekiel 32, it says, I will cover the sun and the moon shall not give her light. It says there's also verses in Mark where it talks about the moon not giving her light, the sun not giving his light, stuff like that, So I just want to let you know that there's other verses besides that to tell you that the moon is a light and the sun is a light. And so we have
you
that.
don't even need. Yeah, you don't need. Well, first of all, you don't even need biblical verses to prove that. If you ever been out in the wilderness in the middle of the night when that moon is up, man, you can see a long,
Yeah.
long way. And if you follow the model, I mean, even if you follow the heliocentric model, like you said, the sun is not reflecting off the moon because it's on the complete opposite side of the earth at that time, right? So there's no reflection on it. So
Yeah.
the moon 100% gives off light for sure.
Yep. And also, when you do a test, an experiment you could go into the moon's shade and then click, and it's actually hotter in the moon's shade than it is from the moonlight. So the moonlight is actually colder.
Right.
But if you do the opposite with the sun, then the sun obviously is going to be cooler in the shade and hotter in the sunlight. So we have that. So that's an experiment you guys could do.
Right.
And very interesting. Now let's go over the firmament. That's something that I kind of touched on. I told you what the word means, rakia, solid, expanse, firmament. So there is a theory out there by Ken Hovind, which I think he does an amazing job at debating people in biology and also like the age of the earth. He does a great job in that. But what he believes in the heliocentric model, what he says is that the firmament was a solid piece of ice canopy surrounding the globe, and that when the flood happened, it melted and it caused the water to come in. So that cannot be true. The reason why is because God put the moon, sun, and the stars in the firmament. Yeah. So if you have it in the firmament, then that would have to be outside of the entire galaxy for that to be true. What Ken Hovind tries to say is, well, there's two firmaments. There's one that was around. Yeah, see, now you're getting into adding to the Bible because God made the firmament, not firmaments. And also, so we got to understand that. So I'm going to let you guys know that.
I'll put a little asterisk on that, man. I'm pretty unlearned about what we're going over, but even I could shoot like 20 holes in that stupid theory, no problem. The firmament melted. Well, first of all, they just found 3 times the amount of Earth's water inside the crust of the Earth than it's on the ocean. And the Bible even says that water receded. And it says that when the rain, it rained at the same time the water came up. The firmament,
yes.
The firmament didn't melt. So get away from here.
Yeah. Okay. So we could even talk about that real quick with the flood. Okay. Yeah. So what we got to understand is there's 3 separate events that happened with the flood. One of them he went over. It's called the fountains of the great deep were broken up, so water came from below. So that's the first event that happened. So let's say Noah's ark was right here. Water came from below, pushed his ark up. Right. The next thing that happened was the windows of heaven were open. Mm-hmm. I told you that heaven is actually firmament. So the windows of the firmament were open and water came from above. And then it said it rained for 40 days and 40 nights. So now you have water coming from above, filling up the fishbowl. You have Noah's ark already been pushed up from the water from below. So it kind of keeps him in safe. Mm-hmm. And then it says it rained for 40 days and 40 nights. And the water was above the highest mountain, 15 cubits. Yeah. So if you have a fishbowl with the firmament, the water can fill up right to the highest mountain, and that's no problem. The water is doing that. When you have a globe, it's crazy. But one thing is the Bible also says a little bit later that it says the fountains of the great deep were closed. The windows of heaven were closed. It actually said the windows of heaven were stopped. But if you click it in the Hebrew, it means closed. So those windows of heaven were closed. The sluices is what that means of heaven were closed, and it stopped raining for 40 days and 40 nights, right? So there's 3 separate events there that happened in the flood. Yeah. Most people will not tell you about. Pastors will tell you that it just rained for 40 days and 40 nights. Some will go over the 2, the raining and then the water coming up, but they stay away from the windows of heaven were open. They say it's a metaphor for rain. Why would God mention it 3 times? Like God does not say stuff for no reason. And that's a firsthand account from God when it talks about Genesis anyway, just letting you guys know.
Yeah, and also too, I had to help some people on a previous video I did. I made a comment, man, that there's fossilized clams at the top of Mount Everest, and other fish, starfish at the top of Mount Everest. And so how did it get up there, y'all? Come on, it climbed. It's not obviously, obviously the water was above Mount Everest when that happened on it. So at this point in time too, with the soil samples that they've put out, man, and every ancient civilization that had the ability of a written language has a flood story in it. You can't deny the flood. Like, yeah, even if you want, even scientists can't deny it. So they tie it to this thing called the Younger Dryas event. Even they won't even deny it anymore, that there was a great deluge upon the earth. So that's not even debatable. Unless you're an atheist, and then you probably can debate it. But other than that, man, so yeah.
And that Psalms 19:1 verse that I went over, I just want to let you guys know, was a scientist that came over from Operation Paperclip. His name was Werner von Braun. He was like he's not the creator of NASA, but he was a higher up in NASA. He's a rocket scientist, that they brought over. On his tombstone, he has Psalms 19:1, the one where I said, the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. He has that on his tombstone. So basically just letting you know, supposedly he got saved, at the age of 66. They had that number, it's very, very convenient, but the age of 66. And so he passed away, and that's what he put on his tombstone. Yeah. Is that the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Very interesting. And as I went through that verse, you probably know why he probably put that on there. It might be a breadcrumb for you to chase down the fact that he has a tabernacle for the sun. The sun is going forth in the heaven, and the earth is fixed and immovable and not moving. Okay. Yeah. So we have that.
And to add for reference to people who you might not know who Werner von Braun is, he was actually a Nazi scientist, rocket science, invented the V2. We snatched him up at the end of World War II, brought him over here. He became a big wig in NASA, and he became really good friends with the people down in Disney. Let that sink in, where he was actually big on designing if you go to Disney now, the Epcot Center, they have the Land of Tomorrow. That was his design and stuff like that. And so he was heavily, I had heard that he was in the Thule Society over there, which was a huge occult that the Nazis were in, but a lot of people say that he wasn't in the Thule Society. It doesn't matter.
The Brotherhood of Saturnalia. That's one of the big ones in Germany, right? Yeah. And what does he call his rocket?
Yeah.
The Saturn V.
And a lot of people equate Saturn to Satan. Satan's planet, the rings of Saturn. So the fact that he got saved and came around, hey, you know what I mean? Like, Jesus loves the people we hate. So remember that, guys. Remember that. So anyway,
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And you make a Saturn V, a Satan V, and you're taking Apollo and you're putting it to the moon, and you're taking Artemis and Mars and Venus, and wow, man, it's really interesting. And one thing you guys got to understand about the planets, okay, what we call planets, in the Bible they're called wandering stars, and not once will you ever hear God or anybody in the Bible refer to Earth as a wandering star. Planets are wandering stars that get judged in the book of Jude, and we just happen to take these wandering stars that are actually doing circuits that God doesn't want them to do. They're disobeying God. They're doing a different circuit than what the stars are doing, and they're disobeying God. And in the book of Enoch, it talks about their stars being judged. Mm-hmm. These are wandering stars that are going to be judged by the book of Jude, and we just happen to call them other gods' names like Saturn, Mars, Jupiter. You understand? So there's something there that they want you to do. They want you to worship the heavens, like the book of Deuteronomy says not to do. It says to worship the creator, not the creation. So what do we have? We're paying homage to other gods every time we say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or even, hey, my last name is Monday, but it's like Moon Day. You know what I'm saying? Every time you say my name, you're paying homage to the God. But anyway, there's Thor's Day, April, all these different things. They're made for, to give homage to every god but God. And NASA also, man, go into Genesis 3:15 and click on the word beguiled. Click on that word beguiled in the Hebrew, and it's Nasha, Nasa, NASA. So they know that kind of stuff, man. There's a reason why you never hear the next rocket being Jesus Christ or
Yeah. Oh,
the
yeah. No, no.
Almighty
Yeah.
God or the Most High. Nah, you don't hear that. All you hear is just some other God from time.
To add to Josh's point, Enigmites, in the book of Enoch, he actually got a tour and he saw 7 of the fallen stars imprisoned. And the Bible refers when you read a verse saying the stars fall from heaven, they're talking about heavenly beings, angels. Enoch saw 7 of them in prison, and he asked, I think Ariel, who was giving the tour, he was like, "Who are these people?" And he said, "These are stars that disobeyed, right? And they're being punished right now, right?" So again, that leads back to the wandering stars. Okay, gotcha. Josh, we're killing it, man. We're killing it, man. We're all over it.
Yeah, we are. We're getting it. So also in Ephesians 6, I just want to, this is just an add-on to what you're saying. Finally, my brethren, be strong of the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God that we may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places.
Right.
What does that mean? Yeah. In high places? What he's telling you is the place that the spiritual battles are happening are where the moon, sun, and the stars are located, right? The Bible is talking about, and also if you look in the Geneva Bible, it actually says worldly governors there. It adds that in. So we're not only fighting against spiritual wickedness in high places. If you look up, you're going to see the high places where the spiritual battles are happening, but you're also dealing with worldly governors. And who are the ones that control what we're actually learning in school? You know, Satan, the Rockefellers, you know, the worldly governors, people that we're up against. So understand that, okay? So in high places, even in the book of Daniel, if you look at what it says that this angel was coming to answer Daniel's prayer. It took him 21 days to get there. Why? Because he said he started fighting against the Prince of Persia, which is a fallen angel over Persia. He's fighting against him, and he has to call Michael the archangel to come and assist him to be able to get back down to Daniel. So between where Daniel's located on the earth and between where God is located in heaven, they're fighting in between there for him to get to Daniel. So there's something going on in the heavens that we're not understanding.
For sure.
Spiritual battle is happening, and that's why you see people worshiping the stars and worshiping the planets and all these things, man. It's really interesting. So
he even told Daniel, we heard you on your first prayer, but it took me 21 days to get here. He's like, we heard you. We heard you right away, is what he was saying. Yes.
Yeah. Like, I'm trying to help you, man. I'm sorry. I'm going through a spiritual warfare to get here. Yeah. So it's really interesting. So God's throne is above the firmament. That's something that I kind of went over earlier. So there's a reason why when you die, you become spirit, right? You're a spirit, and you're able to go through the firmament to heaven. The angels will grab you, bring you absent from the body, present with the Lord. You're able to go through the firmament and be able to get to God. And then if you're going to in the earth, which is Sheol, and then the angels come and grab you and they bring you in the earth, and you're able to go through the earth into Sheol. There's not going to be anybody physically that's going to be able to get to heaven. God created a firmament, an impenetrable dome that's blocking him from anybody being able to get there physically. Okay, so that's what's happening. And if I was God, that's what I would do. If I don't want anybody physically being able to get there with rockets, with aircraft, with anything, I would make a physical dome between me and my people, you know. And the thing about it is, even on day 2, if you notice, God doesn't say it was good. He said it was good on day 1, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6. But when he created the firmament, what separates him from us, he doesn't say it was good. Now, in the end, he does say, you know, everything was good in after the 7 days. But you notice he doesn't say that. So it's really interesting. Now, God's throne being above the firmament. What verses back that up? Well, we have Ezekiel 126 is one of the verses that back that up. And in Ezekiel 126, it actually says, hold on, I'm trying to get down my notes. I'm probably jumping ahead. Yep. And above the firmament that was over their heads was the likeness of a throne. as the appearance of a sapphire stone, and upon the likeness of the throne was the likeness as the appearance of a man above upon it. So Ezekiel was brought up to the firmament. These are the type of verses that are talking about a wheel within a wheel, and it's a vision from God. And as Ezekiel's looking through the firmament, he sees a cherubim underneath the firmament, and above the firmament, he's seeing the likeness of a throne. Okay, so now we know God's throne is above the firmament. Ezekiel 10:1 also talks about the light. Okay, so we have that. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead on my notes. I have so many notes here, bro. It's crazy.
No, I'm gonna have you back on,
so
man.
We have,
look, you're in now.
All right. Yeah, I love being on here. No problem. Also, so another verse that I'll tell you guys about is Amos 9:6. This is read in the AMP version of the AMP. It actually says, "It is he who builds his upper chambers in the heavens and establishes his vaulted dome over the earth." In parentheses, it says the firmament of heaven. He who calls to the waters of the seas and pours them out in the face of the earth, and the Lord is his name. If you click on that word vaulted dome, it means binding heaven to the earth. So that vaulted dome is connecting heaven to the earth. And when it says he built his upper chambers, if you click that in the Hebrew, it means layers. So there's 3 heavens. One heaven is where the moon, sun, and the stars are located. Second heaven, Genesis 1:8 says, is the firmament. Third heaven is where God's throne is located. And you can prove that there's 3 heavens by going to, I think it's 2 Corinthians 12. It's Paul saying that I once knew a man about 14 years, whether in the body, out of the body, I cannot tell. Right. And it talks about him going to the third heaven, which is where God's throne is located. And it says that I uttered the speech that I cannot repeat, basically. I'm just paraphrasing. So there's 3 heavens, all right? 3 heavens. And in the earth is Sheol in the Hebrew cosmology, okay? In the earth is Sheol, hell. And before Jesus died on the cross, you had a paradise on one side, and then you had Sheol on the other side, and there was a chasm between it. Mm-hmm. Right, and this is all in the earth. Luke 16, if you want to look that verse up, okay? So we have that. And there's also, with the firmament, Job 37:18, it says, "Hast thou with him spread out the sky, which is strong as a molten looking glass?" That word strong, if you click on it, it means solid. So he's talking about the sky being solid in the book of Job. Isaiah 14:13-15, I kind of went over that earlier, but it's the 5 I wills, and it's going to kind of show you the cosmology that Isaiah is talking about here as well. It says, "For you have said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will also sit on the mount of congregation on the farthest sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High." It says, "Yet you shall be brought down to Sheol, to the lowest depths of the pit." So the cosmology that Isaiah is talking about here is that God's throne is above the stars of God, right? It's talking about it being above the clouds. God's throne is above the firmament. And it also says on the farthest sides of the north is where the throne is located. So if you go to the North Pole, which we're not allowed to freely go to, the North Pole, I think if you went to the North Pole and look straight up and you see the North Star and you see the aurora lights and all these different things, I believe that God's throne is probably at the farthest sides of the north at the highest point, and that's where his throne would be located. How big is it? I have no idea. How is it? How vast is it? Who knows? But it actually says here, and then it says, "I will ascend above the heights of the clouds." So you know that God's throne is above the stars, above the firmament. There's another verse that a lot of globe people or heliocentric people try to point, say this means the circle. That's the sphere. He's talking about it right here. But let's see the language he's using here. It's Isaiah 40:21-22. "Have you not known? Have you not heard? Has it not been told to you from the beginning? Have you not understood from the foundations of the earth? It is he who sits in the circle of the earth. Its inhabitants are like grasshoppers, who stretches out the heavens like a curtain and spreads them out like a tent to dwell in." Once again, we have that word tent or tabernacle. You could interchange those words, right? And also it says, "It is he who sits above the circle of the earth." So God, as I showed you in that diagram earlier, he sits above the circle of the earth. So there's a firmament, his throne. When he looks down on us, he looks down on us like grasshoppers, and he stretched out the heavens like a curtain. It spreads them out like a tent to dwell in. So he's looking down on the circle of the earth. If you look at what the current flat earth model is, I don't know if it's correct or if it's even biblical, but
Sure.
it has the ice wall around the edges. And it also is a circle. So if God was looking down through the firmament down to earth, that's what he would see as a circle.
But there's also
sitting.
yeah, there's also a biblical verse in there where God says the earth is my footstool as well.
Yes, Isaiah 66:1.
Yeah, so there's
The
also
earth is my. It says, "Heaven is my throne,
Yeah.
and the earth is my footstool."
Yeah.
Not the cosmos,
Yeah.
not the universe,
So-
not the different galaxies, but the earth is
Right.
my footstool. So he's standing on basically on the firmament.
Yeah.
And he's it's very interesting. But yeah, that's the next verse I was going to go with.
Oh,
So
sorry.
yeah, is Isaiah 6. No, bro, it's perfect. It's exactly. That means that you're on point. Until there's that. Now, as far as the circle and the sphere, there is a word that he could have used there, which Isaiah uses in 22:18. It says, "He will surely violently turn and toss thee like a ball into a large country." So if you click on that word, it's a different word than hug. So if you click that word ball, it's different. So he could have used that word ball there when he said he's sitting upon the ball, but it doesn't even make sense in the heliocentric model anyways, of him sitting above the circle of the earth. What is he sitting above the sphere? No. If you had the heliocentric model, the moon, sun, and the stars would have to be in the firmament. The firmament would have to be outside all of the galaxies. And what's happening? It actually would be moving further and further and further and further away because it's an ever expanding universe. So what science is doing in their model, if you read the Bible, is they're placing God further and further and further away from you. But if you look at what the Bible says, God is right there looking down on us like grasshoppers through the firmament, and he is close. Very interesting.
Very interesting.
All right, so we have that. Now also the Ken Hovind theory gets thrown out with Psalms 148. It says, praise ye the Lord from the heavens, praise ye him the heights, praise ye him all his angels, praise ye him all his hosts, praise ye him the sun, moon, praise ye him the stars of light, praise ye him the heavens of heavens, and praise ye the waters that be above the heavens. So David, the king of Israel, is still talking about water being above the heavens. Man, it's really interesting there, man. I already talked about the book of Daniel. I already talked about Ezekiel, so we kind of went over that. Revelation 4:6. This one's pretty interesting. It says, "And before the throne there was a sea of glass like unto crystal, and in the midst of the throne, round about the throne, were four beasts full of eyes." So if you look at Revelation 4:6, Revelation 4, it's actually giving you like a bird's eye view. It talks about there being rainbows. It talks about there being water, sounds of thunder, 24 elders or thrones in Revelation, like in heaven. There's a court of heaven. There's a lot of really interesting stuff, but it talks about a sea of glass, crystal, where God's throne is located. It's really interesting, man. But look into that. Why do they call God the Most High? Isaiah says it. An angel in the book of Luke calls God the highest. He's called the Most High because he's at the highest point of creation. I showed you that model where there's a firmament, and then God's throne is above that. Everything else is below him. So he's at the highest point of creation. That's why he's called the Most High and the highest in the book of Luke. Have you heard of Operation Fishbowl before or Operation Dominique yet?
No.
Okay, so this is Operation Dominique is the big program. It's called Dominique Chama. It's basically in 1962. They were carried out by the United States as a part of a larger Operation Dominique. It was called Operation Fishbowl. Okay, very interesting. If you see a fishbowl, what do you have? You have flat land with a glass dome, and there's a hole in the top. So what they did is a bunch of high altitude nuclear tests where they were shooting nukes up in the air to explode, and I believe trying to explode the firmament, and that's why it's called Operation Fishbowl. Now, Dominique in Latin actually means belonging to the Lord. Chama means fixed shell. So you have a fixed shell belonging to the Lord that they're taking Thor missiles, all these different Greek gods, Thor's hammer, and trying to break the firmament. And the light was happening from one side of the atmosphere to the other. You're seeing it explode, right? It's very interesting, man. And it's called Operation Fishbowl. You guys should look into that.
No.
Even the wordage.
Yeah, no, that's
is interesting.
No, so yeah.
1962.
When these people, I throw shade at them a lot of time. They're not as clever as they think they are. They'll tell you what they're doing, and then by naming with the names of, like, especially like you were talking about NASA, the mission patches and the mission names, right? They'll kind of put it in your face a little bit what they were trying to do. I mean, the Catholic Church they named their huge telescope Lucifer, and they thought it would be clever to say that the acronym stood for something. Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not fooling anybody with that, man. So yeah. So yeah. No, I just wrote that down, man. No, but I'll dig into that, man.
Yes. Yeah. So look that up. And it happened in 1962. Now, as a military man yourself, and me as a military man, what I would say, besides them trying to explode the firmament, which I don't think they were trying to explode it, I think they're trying to see how high it is.
Yeah.
Because now they need to see if they shot a nuke from United States to Russia, whether you believe nukes are real or not. If they're shooting a missile, whatever it is, a missile from United States to Russia, they need to see how high the firmament is because they don't want to hit the firmament. Yeah. So if they're shooting a missile, they go like that. Okay, now they're finding out how high it is. Cool. Now we know where it's at. And it's where it's located. So now I can't shoot a missile into the firmament. I'm going to shoot it around. When they shoot NASA rockets as well, bro, they know not to shoot them straight up in the air. Like you saw Elon Musk, he put it straight up in the air and it exploded.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect military sense, man. Yeah.
In an arc like they actually do, they're not hitting the firmament. They're just going into the water, even though they say they're going into space. That's what you see the rockets do. They just do it like the Disney logo. They go up. And they cast out and they kind of go like this, and then you see them do. We're trying to go with the motion of the earth. All right, yeah, whatever, sounds good. So we have that. I already talked about 2 Corinthians 12 verses 2-4. If you guys want to study that, that's the one where he talks about going to the third heaven. We're getting really close here, man. And if I ask somebody that believes in the heliocentric model, like where heaven is located or where God's located, say that he's in another dimension. Where is hell located? Another dimension. If you look at the Hebrew cosmology, God is located above the firmament. It's very plain, easy to see. And also hell is in the earth. In the Bible, it talks about hell being down, the underworld being down. Philippians 2, verse 11, what it says? It says, every knee will bow in heaven, on earth, and under the earth.
Under it, yeah.
See what I mean?
And some people
it's a 3-tiered system.
And some people argue back on that, saying, no, it's talking about in the earth. It doesn't matter. On the earth, in the earth, under the earth.
Why does he say that?
Yeah.
Why does in the book of Revelation it says nobody can open this, anybody in heaven, on earth, or in the earth, or under the earth? He's talking about on earth or in the earth, because it's talking about everybody in Sheol, every knee's going to bow in hell. Everybody on earth, every knee's going to bow on earth, and everybody in heaven, every knee
literally
shall bow.
Talks about ripping the people out of the earth. Literally, that's in Revelations. You cannot hide. It will rip you out of your mountains. It'll rip you out of it. So yeah.
Oh yes. Yeah. So now we have, so we're getting really close here, bro. This is like perfect timing. Right? Revelation 6:13-15. It says this, and the stars of heaven fell onto the earth as a fig tree casts her untimely figs. She is shaken off a mighty wind, and the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. This is the crazy thing, bro. That was the next verse I was going over, and that's the verse that you directly went to. It's the second time happening on this podcast, which I love that, bro. We're definitely moving in unison. Now, the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together. What heaven are they talking about there? Talking about the firmament heaven opening like a scroll. And what's going to happen when the heaven opens? It talks about it a little bit later in Revelation. It talks about Jesus coming in on a cloud and coming in, and every eye shall see. Not even like every eye will see, every eye shall see. And also talks about the stars falling to the earth. Does that make sense in a heliocentric model that the stars fall to the earth when they're supposedly bigger than our sun? We have bigger problems to worry about if that's happening. But if you see a firmament with an earth and the stars are just luminaries, or the stars are angels and they fall to the earth, if the earth is at the very ends and the firmament connects to the ends of the earth and the stars fall, that makes sense. But on a heliocentric model, makes no sense at all that they're going to fall to the earth when they're supposedly bigger than giant gas balls, bigger than our sun. Think about it, dude. And if you guys understand that Jesus, when he would walk the earth, if you're Christian, you know that he cannot lie. God cannot lie. It says in Mark 13:24, it says, but in those days after that tribulation, the sun shall be darkened, the moon shall not give her light, the stars of heaven shall fall, and the powers that are in heaven shall be shaken. He's talking about the stars falling to the earth. Jesus, Revelation, Jesus talking, and the stars of heaven fell to the earth, right? So that's Jesus talking, all right? So we got to understand. And it says the sky receded as a scroll when it is rolled up. It's the firmament's going to open, okay? It's very interesting, man. All right, so we already talked about the flood, so we covered that. There's a vision that Nebuchadnezzar gets, a dream where Daniel's talking about him climbing to the highest mountain and our highest tree and seeing the ends of the earth. I don't really go over the ends of the earth because sometimes it's talking about a nation. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's talking about the end of a land, because earth can mean land, it can mean dirt, it can mean territory, or it can mean the full entire earth. So I don't really go over the ends of the other verses, but if you want to study that, it's Daniel 4. 10 through 11, it says that they went on the highest tree and they were able to see the ends of the earth. All right, so there's that. And then another one is, if you're on a heliocentric model and you're on a globe and you're spinning and orbiting and doing all this stuff, then which way is up? I don't know. But if you're on a flat earth or where the earth is on the bottom and there's a firmament and God's throne is above that, then up is up and down is down. So when it says that Jesus ascended up to heaven, he went up to heaven. It said he descended into the earth first, which is interesting, and then he also went up to heaven. Elijah, he ended up going up to heaven in 2 Kings 2:11. Enoch, it says that he went up to heaven. So there's a up and there's a down in the Bible. There's not an up and down in the heliocentric model. We don't know what up is or down is, or how Jesus ascended when it's orbiting and spinning and doing all this stuff. How did he go up? Right. Like he had to wait for it to like spin to a certain, okay, now I'm going to go up. So think about it, bro. Doesn't make sense. All right. So we have that. And then, I'm going to tie this thing into a giant bow at the end. All right. So then show you guys all the 666s that are in the heliocentric model. And we'll go over that really quick. Okay. So in 2 Thessalonians 2:11, it says, and for this cause, God shall send them strong delusion that they should believe a lie. There's just a whole bunch of stuff in the Bible that Jesus says, do not be deceived. Don't be deceived. Don't be deceived. And that's a lot of things in the end times. That's what's going to happen. So let's see exactly what's happening with this heliocentric model. So first of all, the earth curvature, every 1 mile is 8 inches squared. So if you took 8, you divide it by 12, it's a 0.66 of a foot. If you go 10 miles, it's 66.6 of a foot. If you go 100 miles, it's 6,666 feet of curvature. We have the Earth going around the sun at 66,600 miles an hour, so the 666 there. You have the Earth's circumference is 600 times 6 times 6 nautical miles. It's also tilted at 23.4 degree axis. If you subtract 90 from that, it's 66.6 degrees. Isaac Newton first started writing the theory of gravity in 1666. The force of gravity on Earth is 666 newtons. The speed of sound is equal to 666 knots. The diameter of the moon is 6 times 6 times 60. The distance to the moon is 6 times 6 times 666 miles. Dang. There's an Arctic and Antarctic celestial sphere at 66.6 degrees north latitude, 66.6 degrees south latitude. So, and then There's one thing that someone put. It said the surface of temperature of Uranus, not my anus, is negative 6 times 6 times 6 degrees. I don't know how they came up with that number. So I don't really like to say that one, but it is there in this note. So
I'm taking notes.
All right. I don't know how they come up with that one, but it's very funny though. But all right. So Genesis. All right. So I would like to go over this in the book of Genesis. It says in Genesis 2, verses 1 through 4, thus the heavens and the earth and all the host of them were finished. And on the seventh day, God ended his work, which he had done. He had rested on the seventh day from all his work, and he had done. The God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it because it was rested on his work. This is the history of the heavens and the earth when they were created, and the day that the Lord God made the earth and the heavens. So you know that this is the history of the origins of the heavens and the earth. Or the heavens is what you would call universe. Okay, this is the origins and in the days that God created it. So understand that. And the very last verse I like to go over is going to be Colossians 1, 15 through 18. This is talking about Jesus. Okay, it says he is the image of the invisible God. Which if you look at that, we're made in God's image. So we're actually made in the image. Jesus, because Jesus is the image of the invisible God. Very interesting. It also says the firstborn over all creation. Now, the firstborn is not mean that he was born. He was born of a Virgin Mary, yes, but he's not created being. Jesus is not. So how do I know that? Because it says firstborn is also used for David, which David had older brothers. So it's just talking about in rank. Where's he at? He's right below God in rank. Right? Okay. The Father, right? Okay. It says, for by him all things were created that are in heaven, that are on earth, visible, invisible, whether thrones, dominions, principalities, or powers. All things were created through him and for him, and he is before all things, and in him all things consist. And he is the head of the body of the church, who is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that all things he may have preeminence. So, dude, everything is through him, for him, by him. God used the word. It says, God said, let there be light. God said, let there be a firmament. God said. So understand that. So what I would tell all the flat earthers out there and the conspiracy theorists, we got to understand, I see a lot of people worship the flat earth. And that's all they go over on every single show.
No, that's
flat earth.
Yeah, that's a great point right there. No, for sure. Yeah. No, please.
So worship the creator, not the created. So point everybody, Jesus Christ, point everybody to God the Father, to the Holy Spirit, point everybody to God so that they worship God and just appreciate his creation, right? Give all glory to God for it. The heavens declare the glory of God and the firmament shows its handiwork. Yes, it's beautiful. It's made for us and it's special. But yeah, we got to make sure we worship the creator. And I do a lot of shows on biblical cosmology. But what did I just do? I build faith because I just read probably 60 Bible verses or 70 Bible verses. So what does it do? Yeah. Faith cometh by hearing the word of God. So whether you put me on agnostic show, atheist show, or you put me on a show where people are Christian, you just had faith built to you. So I do it in a different way than most people do. I do it in a biblical way to show you what the Bible says. But yeah, that's everything in a nutshell, bro. And that was a perfect timing.
Wow.
Any questions for me?
Well, you gave me a lot. So no, yeah. So yeah. No, that was very well presented, man. I will tell you, you made a great point there towards the end. I think that you're spot on with that. I see a lot of people go in and try to say, these are the reasons why the earth is flat, but they don't go any further into saying what you just said, listing up the causing of it. Like say, oh, this does this does that. No, man, that's really good, man. That's like I'm just absorbing it all in. I actually do have a theory, man, on that when it says that God created the firmament to split the waters from above and below. I actually follow, like I said, I'm Nikola Tesla's electric universe theories. Our current day scientists will tell you that space is a void, right? I don't believe it's a void. I think it's a substance. I think it's the ether, right? And I think the ether.
Okay.
That just like I said, just talking here. I think the ether actually is some type of liquid substance that is in space, right? So I do believe that. I do. You make some great points, but I also do. I have a personal experience. That gives me pause on it. And another thing too, I like having conversations where I can go away and I can think. So next time we talk, I can be like, "Hey, look, man, I thought about this thought or whatever." That when I was stationed in Diego Garcia for a year. I don't know if you're familiar with that island or not, but it's in the middle of the Indian Ocean. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's actually a rim of an extinct volcano. It's an atoll actually. And something happened, and I had to fly off Diego Garcia. And I took off from Diego Garcia, and I flew up to get off Diego Garcia. You had to fly to Singapore. That was the onboarding and offboarding airport, right? So I flew from Diego Garcia to Singapore, from Singapore to Japan, from Japan to LA, from LA to Philly, from Philly to Germany, from Germany to Italy, from Italy to Bahrain, from Bahrain back down to Singapore, and then Singapore flew south back down to Diego Garcia. That was the flight path that went around, right?
Wow.
And so yeah, so my question is so I actually do believe that the firmament I do believe the Earth is a globe, but I do believe that the firmament is over the globe. I never thought about your flood reference though before, because that makes a lot of sense. I mean, that makes me think like, man, what is that, right? Like, so like the fishbowl thing, right?
Yeah.
So, but then when I think about that, is that I do also believe that we can't get off. So the atmosphere, right, is made up of the ionosphere, the stratosphere, and the troposphere in some specific order, right? And I do believe that, and also they say that there's this big giant radiation belt that surrounds the Earth. I do not think Elon Musk, we will never go to Mars. We'll never. There was a time I actually put in to be on that Mars program. Like I would go, right? I put a thing in to say like I would go and not come back, right? But I don't believe that, man. So I don't believe that we can escape the Earth. And your thing about that Operation Fishbowl, that is 100% military thinking right there, right? Like, you know, how high can we lob this up before it bangs off? We're like basically skipping rocks. Another thing too, this gives me pause as well, man, is that like, or just not a pause, it's just a question, is that I know that when you go to sniper school in the military, or I've never been in the Army one, but and the Marine Corps used to have the scout snipers as well, is that when you get out past like 750, I think feet or yards or whatever, you have to start putting in the calculation for the drift and the drop. You have to start putting in the calculation of the curvature of the Earth. I don't like, these are just things that just pop into my head.
It's not the curvature. What you're speaking about is the Coriolis effect. So
right, yeah,
what correct. This is, so one thing about the Coriolis effect that we need to understand is, if that is true, if we have the bullet going, and now that Earth is spinning, and we need to have Coriolis, how come we can't take a helicopter and fly it up in the air with 24 hours of fuel and the Earth spins underneath it? How come that doesn't happen?
That's actually a good point, right? Yeah, that's a good point, man. So for people who don't have a lot of experience with firearms or shooting in the military, it's called the drift, which is the left and the right and the drop, right? When you're taking a shot at a certain distance, you have to calculate. You have to calculate the drift and the drop. That's actually a good point, man. And the bullet is spinning, and it's called the Coriolis effect, right? Yeah.
So are they saying that the Earth is spinning underneath the bullet, and you have to account for that? That's what the Coriolis is supposedly the effect,
right?
So if that effect is true with an object flying through the sky, why is it not true for a plane, and why is it not true for a helicopter? Because if a helicopter went up with 24 hours of fuel, then it should be, and if it stayed in the same spot, then the Earth should rotate underneath it, and then it should come back to that same point. You would never, and then if you're flying an airplane and the Earth is spinning underneath you, then you should be going one way, and you should be able to get there faster, and the other way, if you're chasing it, then you're never going to get there, or you'll probably get there as long as you're moving faster than 1,000 miles an hour. No. What happens is the Earth is spinning with the plane, supposedly, and that's what's supposedly happening. So when you're landing on a runway, Earth is, they say that first of all, look at all the flight manuals. What does it say? Fly like you're flying on a non-rotating flat Earth. That's what it says. Fly
Right.
like it's non-rotating, fixed, immovable, like the Bible says. When you're, so I just want to say this. If you have to have Coriolis for a shooting bullet, then you need to have Coriolis for a flying airplane and a flying helicopter as well.
Oh, man.
That's not, why do you have that for a bullet but not have it for the helicopter and the airplane? That would be my question back. And also, I've never been taught about Coriolis effect in the Army. I've never been taught that. And if you talk to a lot of snipers, someone will say that they don't adjust for that, that's not true. No. Some people will say that we do adjust for it. So I'm not saying that that we don't adjust for it, or they probably put it in the calculation, and I don't believe that it should affect the bullet because it doesn't affect the plane, it doesn't affect the helicopter. But any other questions?
No, but you're on. I had a jarhead tell me that they didn't start teaching the Coriolis effect until after 9/11. Sniper schools. It's not. Yeah, that's what he was telling me, right? It's because I guess
it's probably true because, dude. I mean, that's when all the conspiracies started becoming really popular, and everybody started studying crazy stuff.
He was telling me that he was an old school scout sniper, and he was just saying that literally they would just tell you, man, like the whole math thing. They were like, no, it was more of a feel, right? I mean, so people who don't know, man, if you can follow basics instructions, man, they will teach you how to bullseye something at 400 in basic training, right? Like they'll teach you. It's not that hard once you become
400 meters.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
So people know 400 meters is what we're talking about.
Yeah, 400.
We're talking about 400 meters. So if you take that's far. That's like 400 meters. You have to take that times 3.7 feet.
Yeah,
that's how far away we're shooting.
Yeah.
So, okay, understand that. So that still is far, right? And if you believe in the globe and you're out and I'm on and you guys are listening to this podcast, dude, I'm not going to judge people. You know what I mean? Like the Bible could be a globe that's geocentric, okay? But I believe that the Bible is teaching flat, non-rotating. The Hebrew cosmology, which is God's cosmology, is teaching what I'm telling you. But if you watch the movie The Principle, Dr. Singenis, he's a Christian or he's Catholic. But if you watch the movie The Principle, it's talking about the Earth being the center of our supposed, universe right now. Mm-hmm. They've never proved the Earth moving, certain scientific experiments that they've done. There's some out there that I have them written down. I don't have it on this is my biblical notes, but they tried to prove the movement of the Earth before already. Okay, it's already happened. It's Michelson-Morley is one of the experiments. The Sagnac. There's a bunch of different things that tried to prove the movement of the Earth, and what they got is they got a little drift, but they didn't get the 18.5 feet per second that they were trying to get.
Yeah,
look into that. There's a bunch of different experiments, but I don't do the scientific side because I'm not a scientist, and you know what? I'm not like university. I'm not a theologian.
Yeah, but
just somebody that studies the Bible.
You don't have to be too, man, because they're ridiculous, man. They can't even, like you said before we wrap up, man. I'm keeping you on here too long. I could talk for another hour on here, but you got to come back, man. You got to come back, all right? So you got to let me take my notes.
I will.
You got to let me take my notes. You got to let me get a little bit smart and then come back, not with any I got you stuff, man, with just some questions. Well, like you said, man, their God is gravity, and they cannot explain it. They don't. I think that I can't remember the name of the equation, the field, the relativity theory of relativity, or whatever the field they got, cannot be proven. So the number one thing that these theoretical physicists depend on, man, everything is dependent on gravity, and they cannot prove it with math, right? They can't do it, right? And so, yeah, I don't put any stock to that, man. And that's one of the reasons why I did a podcast about, I laugh at the simulation theory, right? Do you know the reason? Are you familiar with simulation theory about everything? Do you know why they stopped pushing that? Do you know why that theory just died real quick? Is because, first of all the atheists got behind it and saying, look, yeah, we're just in some giant creator program, right? Like just some program. But when you follow it to its conclusion, you can't have a program without a programmer. And it proved the existence of God or a greater power And so they immediately they scrubbed it. You will not hear them pushing that simulation theory. It used to be in your face, man. Elon Musk was talking about, oh, we live in a simulation.
Yeah.
As soon as they got to the top, saying, well, who programmed it? They're like, oh, well, wouldn't that be a god if he's our programmer? Yo, man, they scrapped that thing so fast, man. They don't even talk about that anymore, right? So yeah, man, it was hilarious, man. That's how I went with it. No, but look, Josh, man, wow. Worth the wait, bro. Man, I'll tell you what, man, you're dialed in, man. And like I said, I took down some notes. I want to get you back on here, and I want to be able to to be more articulate and look into it. You have some very fascinating, I wouldn't even call them theories. Like you point out some things that are in the Bible, man. It's like, you know, like, yeah, in the Bible verses, it says that it's God's, it makes God happy to hide mysteries and makes kings happy to find them or something like that.
Oh yeah, to search them out. Yeah, to search them out. Yeah, got.
And so yeah, man. Like
also, Jesus also says to come to God like an innocent child.
Yeah, like a child, right? Yeah.
Not like a university, like Job 38 verses 4 through like 28. When he needs to check Job, what does he do? He immediately goes to the cosmology. Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth?
Yeah.
Where were you when I bind Pleiades? So cosmology is important to God and his glory. Just letting you guys know. But yes, bro, it's fascinating. But understand what the scriptures say, and understand that there is a devil lurking in the back. And what does he want to do? Like I said, man, he wants to give you an inverted model. Mm-hmm. He wants you to roll with that, so that it's separating you from God. It's like faith comes by hearing the word of God. Faith doesn't come by hearing the word of Neil deGrasse Tyson. All right.
Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started on that dude, man. Like I'm just saying, man, he is such. The CIA loves to recruit from Harvard, man, because man, he is such a psyop. Another thing too is I try to tell people too is that it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me, man. I mean, like right now in 2024, if you can't come to the conclusion that we've been lied to since your great grandfather was alive, man, that we've been lied to on a global scale. Satan knows he's doomed, right? And he's like a guy that's drowning in the ocean, and the lifeguard is there. His job is to pull you down with him. He knows he's cooked, right? He knows he's cooked. And I was telling my wife that verse in the Bible where it says, no one knows the day or the time except my Father. That's because Satan is constantly looking over his shoulder, man, thinking like, like any second now, like it's going to like pop off or whatever. But no.
Yeah.
Wow. Josh, great one, man. Like, all right, so I got you on tape saying you got to come back. You got to give me some time to digest the notes.
Yeah, I'll come back. No worries. Hey, bro, I like to jump on shows. I like to help out with the community. And once you do post the show, let me know so I can share it on my Instagram.
For sure.
Share it on my do you have YouTube?
Yeah, man.
As well?
I'm everywhere, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I've already subscribed to you, but I want to make sure that I do. Just send me the links and stuff via email so I can subscribe, and I'll share the link on my YouTube and also on my Instagram.
Excellent. So tell everybody one more time real quick where they can find you, man. Just real quick. It'll be in the notes below too, everybody, the stuff.
Yeah, so it's Josh Monday Music and Podcast on YouTube. We have about 4,000 subscribers now, thank God, and so we're moving, trying to do our best. And then on Spotify, Apple, and all that stuff, it's going to be Josh Monday Christian and Conspiracy Podcast. That's how to find me. And I appreciate everything, man. I appreciate you taking your time out this morning, having me on your show. And we could go over some Nephilim and that type of stuff, since I know that you guys are
man. No, for sure. No, like that.
Want some of that.
Yeah, man. Like,
I'll show you biblically what's going on, and I'll show you how it talks about Satan having a seed and fallen angels being able to have kids and all that stuff, man. We'll go over it.
We'll dig into it. So, all right, Enigmites, if you stuck around this long, you know how I ended up, man. You are our type of losers. Do me a favor. Pound the subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up. I do not care what you do with that bell. Leave a comment on there if you got a question for Josh to answer, because I'm walking away with some questions. If you got some questions, all of his places will be in the description of the video. Go over there, give a follow, check out his show. It's really good. The one I'm watching right now, I'm about halfway through. It's really good. And that's all we got. So Josh, thanks again for coming on. And we out.
Subscribe now and turn on the notifications to join us on this extraordinary journey into the unknown.